Selamat siang. Nama saya Kim Soo. It's a pleasure to be here today, and it's been a very fruitful morning already, talking about the stage of Asian journals and how they've been developing and growing in the scholarly academic field. Today, my topic is to talk about the past 10 years of Korean scholarly journals, especially focusing on KCSE's pathway. So let me just walk you through the slides. As Dr. Suprabhampamni mentioned this morning, he already showed this slide to you, and you can see that all of the top 4 countries who are in the JCR report journal lists, all of them have been growing over time, especially China and India, with the spike going up, as you have seen. However, you can also see that within those top 4 countries, looking at the journal impact factor, there have been some differences, not only in the volume, but in the impact of the journals. And the gray area for Korea, as you can see, has been steadily improving over time. So that's the average journal impact factor. So in this pathway of achieving those milestones, the 2 presenters this morning talked about important milestones moving from local to international level and standards, and achieving each milestone appropriately according to the history. But I wanted to share with you how the Korean Council of Science Editors, in short, KCSE, has been a navigator for the Korean science journals in the field. So a lot of this comes from the 10-year history that we had just recently compiled, but I want to start with our seedling phase, a very, very small seed, as all of us start. So in 2011, in July, we had the first meeting, and it was supported by the Korean Science and Technology Organization. And then 2 months later, in September, finally KCSE had its first founding meeting. And this is Dr. Chung Il-jin. Many of you may recognize him from his visits and meetings with CASE. So when we started in September 2011, we had about 51 journals joining us. In that year, we had 3 editorial workshops, and we started a modest newsletter. This was published twice a year, and it's growing over the years, and now we publish 4 newsletters. Now our newsletters are 40 pages or 50 pages long, so they're almost a volume, but it's been a great stage, a platform to communicate with our local editors, publishers, readers, and researchers. That first year was very active. We had the newsletter started, and then we joined EASE, the European Association of Scientific Journal Editors, and also ALPSP. The next year, we also joined CSE, which is based in the United States, mostly made up of manuscript editors and publishers. And we started educational workshops, educational forums, and also Scopus meetings to guide us and the editors of domestic journals. In that first year, the second year, we also hosted our first, our first international conference. I have to go back. Here we go. So we had our first international conference, and barely a year old, we started science editing, as you had just heard. The newsletter immediately came to 4 times a year, and within that first year, our members jumped from 51 journals to 164 journals. So we had a very healthy, good start. These are some pictures from our first workshop with our science editors. Some of our members are here present at this conference too. Another workshop for manuscript editors, and we also published some workbooks for international standards. And this is again the fourth workshop for editors. Now it's not moving. Next, please. Oh, thank you. So now we are in the sprouting phase. We have a little sprout going on. And we started regular workshops on scientific publishing, research and publication ethics, and also manuscript editing, preparing people to become professional manuscript editors. That year we had 199 journals joining, and as you may know, this was the year when CASE was established, or laid the foundation for the CASE. So we had the first Asian Science Editors Forum. And the picture on the right, you may recognize Pippa Smart, who came to us for one of our workshops that year. 2014, as a sprouting phase, we had our second president, Dr. Jong-Kyu Ha, and at this time, barely 2 years old, science editing transitioned fully to English, and that, I think, was the foundation of our getting much impact in the international audience. We started the BELLS examination, Board of Editors in Life Science, and also established procedures for manuscript editing and intensive training for them, 6 to 8 weeks. At this time, our membership grew to 252 journals, and we published the manual in Korean for our local researchers. And then this is the year that CASE was established, so this marks about a decade since CASE has been established. The first workshop with CASE was in Seoul. And you can see our general meeting proceedings, the first Asian conference, and the first BELLS examination, and such. Oh, here we go. This seems to work, but then not work. Let me try again. Yes. 2015 brought us to a leafing phase where we had more leaves. And you may remember the Vietnam workshop in 2015, the second Asian Science Editors Conference. CASE co-hosted it, and with KCSE, and we had many participants. And many of you may have already been to that conference in Vietnam. And we enjoyed a continuous participation and networking with our international partners, CSC and EASE. So we strategically sent people to attend those conferences, and they would come back and write their experiences and what they learned and shared it in the newsletters. So this was the group photo from the Vietnam second CASE workshop Congress, and you may recognize some. The picture is small, but maybe you may see some colleagues that you know. We also continue to have publication ethics forums, as the photo in the left shows you. 2016 is a growing phase, and at that time, again in Korea, we hosted, along with CASE, the third Asian Science Editors Conference and Workshop, with close to 180 participants. At that time, science editing was indexed in the directory of journals for open access journals, and we also started hosting the first Korean manuscript editor certification process, and that's been going on every year. So a photo from our third CASE conference. 2017, further growth with our third president, Dr. Hyung-Sun Kim. And at this time, under Dr. Hyung-Sun Kim's guidance, CASE was inaugurated and started, but under his leadership, KCSE was also growing further. So at this time, science editing became indexed in Scopus and Emerging Sources Citation Index, and we had a memorandum of understanding with KISTI, the Korean Institute of Science and Technology Information. And with that partnership, we've been able to form synergy and move forward. 2017 brought us back to Vietnam with CASE's fourth conference with over 200 participants. And we had our second certification for KME, and at that time, our membership grew to more than 272 journals. 2018, again, yearly conferences, and at that time, the 5th CASE conference was held here in Indonesia, in Bogor, and at that time it was hosted with APAMI. We had over 200 participants. The BELLS examination was not offered every year, but when people were prepared, and so 2018 we had another BELLS examination and our 3rd KME certification exam. 2018 we also started to actively translate and disseminate COPE flowcharts so that the Korean researchers could access them more easily. 2019, Scopus has an expert content and selection advisory committee. Over the world, they have 4 regional committees like this: Russia, Thailand, China, and Korea. And before us, the Korean National Foundation of Research, they were hosting the Scopus ECSAC subcommittee. But in 2019, Korean Council of Science Editors took on that role, so we received the baton. And under Dr. Hyung-Sung Kim's leadership as chair for that first meeting with KCSC hosting Scopus ECSAC, we were able to form a memorandum of understanding and became more actively involved with Scopus. That year we also had the 4th KME certification, so it's growing over the years. And at this time we translated the SAGER guidelines, the Sex and Gender Equity in Research guidelines, into Korean, and also translated the JAMA Scientific Misconduct for journal editors and publishers. More pictures from 2019, celebrating the event of being designated as the Scopus ESAC body. KCSC had a commemorative symposium, and you can see Dr. Hyung-Sung Kim, Tracy Chen, who will speak with us soon, and many other familiar colleagues that you may see on stage. 2019 was also kind of an adventure for us locally, because we had our first 2-day overnight intensive workshop in Jeju. Lots of wind, but lots of action and energy at that conference. We were hoping to continue this intensive workshop, going to a nice place, having leisure time with colleagues, networking, staying overnight. But then, as you know, COVID came along, right? Yes. So 2020 brought our 4th president, Dr. Sun Ho, and our membership grew further to more than 300 journals. His first challenge was, of course, like all of us, what to do with COVID. How can we survive in the COVID era? But under his leadership, we actually broke through those challenges, and it helped us to become more familiar with the technologies available to us. Oh dear, this is just moving quickly. So here we have the online, our first CASE conference done online. And that was with over 300 participants. So you could see that the participants actually grew in number because it was available online. And at that time, we started to slowly switch, but quickly picked up in speed. So all of our online education and training activities made it possible to reach a wider audience. And it actually became a good source of revenue also, which is important for business and staying power, because you have to be able to continue and be sustainable, right? 2021, our 5th Korean ME certification, and we started the Scopus workshops and offered them twice a year with the help and support of Elsevier. So at these Scopus workshops, it's dedicated to journals who want to be indexed in Scopus. And we give them lectures, but we also share case studies about previous journals who've had success stories, or maybe failed one time but then succeeded the next. And it's been very helpful as guiding the specific journals in their area. 2022, we're still growing. Now we can see some grapes on the vines, some fruits. The 6th KME certification, again, Scopus workshops. And these are still being held mostly online. At this time, we translated and disseminated the Principles of Best Practice and Transparency in Scholarly Publication, 3rd edition at that time. And as you may know, this is really the basic block of achieving the international standards for what you are already doing as your journal, but making it transparent and specifying it according to international standards. So that has also helped in communicating with our Korean journals to upgrade their standards. 2022, we were really hoping to go to Malaysia, to Kuala Lumpur. However, with the help of the Malaysian Council of Science Editors, the online conference was held and many participants participated. This was also co-hosted with CASE, and you can see on top some of the participants. I recognize many colleagues here from that conference also. Another significant event for 2022 for KCSC was becoming a regional chapter for the European Association of Science Editors. So with that MOU, if you go into EASE, although the title is European, they started in the European region, but now they are really a worldwide organization. So Korea, for the Korean regional chapter, KCSC has been an honored member to be a regional chapter, and we are able to advertise our events, our significant achievements through EASE as well, through their monthly newsletters. Continuing to bear fruit, we have our 5th president just started last year, Dr. Ki-Hong Kim, who's here today and who will preside a session later. The 10-year history of KCSC was published just recently in December, and it chronicles the 10-year history of starting in 2011 to 2021. Again, we continued with our Scopus workshops, and many of you know that in September that year, the Principles of Best Practice for Transparency in Scholarly Publication was updated to the 4th edition. So we also translated that and made it available. And all of our workshops, all of our presentation materials, translations are all available for free without login on our website. So anybody, researchers, students, publishers, they can come and access all of the materials for free. So this year we are happy to share with you that looking past over the past decade, our efforts have yielded many fruits, many healthy fruits. First of all, we have formed very strong partnerships with international organizations like EASE or CSE, but also with CASE, and so we have a very strong sistership with CASE. The international impact, not only helping our Korean journals to increase in size and international impact, but also the journal, Science Editing. As you've been hearing over and over, it was indexed in the SIMAGO journal ranking in 2017. But as you may know, this year is the first for Clarivate Web of Science, World of Science to start indexing and giving out journal impact factors for ESCI journals as well. So with that, we've been honored to get the Q2, an impact factor of 1.6. And in the category of communications, Science Editing is now available to many more readers. The improvement of the quality and international standing of Korean academic journals is still going strong, and we do look forward to continuous collaboration with CASE. But before I end, I just wanted to share one more slide, giving you a snapshot of over the years, how we started. You remember that we started with 51 journals. Now, as of July this year, we have 336 journals, but not only journals, but also special memberships. So these are local and international publishing companies who join us, as well as manuscript editing companies who are special members and contribute. How is our constitution? What are we composed of? As you can see, we are still strongly more into the engineering and health sciences, constituting about close to two-thirds, and agriculture and fishery about 17%, the basic life sciences about 14%. So what we need to go towards the next steps is to really incorporate more social sciences and humanities and arts into our membership. But that's what we look like right now. So we have a very strong engineering and health science presence. As far as international indexing, about 26% are indexed in Scopus, our membership journals, and 5% are indexed in the SCIE, and about 19% are indexed in both. Looking at the language, you can see that 78% of our membership journals are publishing in English, so that's a very strong impact over time. I'm sorry, our open access, so that gives an immediate access to international audiences. About 50% are publishing in English, and 29% are publishing in both Korean and English, and only about 5% are publishing purely in Korean. Annually, we continue to have about 8 educational sessions for publication ethics, manuscript editors, new journal editors, and we continue to have 2 Scopus workshops over time. How many manuscript editors have we trained? Since 2014, we have trained 249, and how many have been certified with the national exam from 2016 to last year? 124. Last Friday, we just had this year's manuscript editors examination, and 19 people sat the exam. The acceptance rate is about 59% to 70%, so that's been maintaining some quality to some extent. So I gave you a brief snapshot of briefly KCSE, but I hope it shows you that our presence and our efforts, done very strategically under excellent leaders, has helped us to guide and support the academic journals of Korea overall. So thank you very much for listening. Rombanandri, Kopkunka, and Terima kasih. Thank you.